you're faced with the turbulence as a leader, I would like to suggest that you maintain three perspectives. Because normally when turbulence comes, you just get into this other confusion, kind of situation which become hysterical, panic, anxiety, all the things happen. But I just want to suggest to you that next time you're facing a turbulent situation, have three perspectives. The first one is the external perspective. External perspective, you can take a view and say, well, this risk that is here or this crisis that is here is going to wipe me out. But let me tell you, there's a saying which we say in business, do not waste any crisis. Because when there is a crisis, when everybody else is looking at all the challenges, there are opportunities. And that's a perspective I want you to have whenever you're facing crisis. It may be so damning, it may be so gloom, it may be so threatening, but look at opportunities. It's critical to have that external perspective that says, what does value creation look like when markets are volatile? In my business, that's what I always look like. Look, markets are volatile, things are not going the way. Where are the next frontiers of making money? And we do that quite regularly. That is why, for instance, we look at the situation and says, okay, the upstream side is in deep trouble because the crude price, but the downstream side is fine. Let's focus on our retail business and make sure we extract as much margin out of it. Maybe your business, you must think like that. We looked at all the products that we sell and it says, okay, the crude price has been affecting our liquid fuels business, but our chemical business can grow. And therefore, we have a geographical diversification program that focuses on chemical and specialty chemicals and look at the different opportunities. Critical that you always look at there. The second one is internal. Look at your own organization. If it's Toastmaster or your business, look at your organization very, very carefully and say, does it have the capabilities to capture opportunities that results in the crisis? And most of wealth shifting happens during crisis. And it's only those that seize those opportunities that actually move and capture them. It's organizations that are versatile, organizations that are flexible, organizations that are able to see opportunities in the midst of all challenges. The final one is you as a leader. Do you have what it takes to be an effective leader in turbulent times? I suggest that you look at yourself if there's any assignment I can give you to do it personally. That's very so. So external, internal, and personal, very important. Let's now go a little bit, let's delve a little bit on external perspective. External perspective, as I say, it's very important. You scan and find value and create opportunities. And consider what are the value creating opportunities generated by turbulence. Turbulence by its very nature creates opportunities. And that's very important. The second one is really flourish actively in uncertainty. I'm sure, having been in this organization, you must have been taught by every leader that has come here, and some of the leaders who are expert about eagles. Have somebody told you about eagles? Yeah. I'm sure they've taught you. That it is in, oh, this one is shaking in. Do you want it? You want to hear? Anybody else want to hear? I don't want to repeat things. Want to hear about an eagle? Yeah. You see, the eagle uses a storm in order to go high. You see, when the storm comes, when all the other animals, chickens, they all run for cover and they all go down and high. The eagle, when the storm comes this way, it faces it and it opens its wings and it uses the force of the storm to propel it upwards. As it opens, as the storm hits it, it propels it up. As the storm hits it, it goes up. As the storm hits it, it goes up until it flies above the storm. And then from there, it cruises. And it can fly for hours and hours, for miles and miles and kilometers and kilometers. because it has used the storm's forces to propel it to the higher echelons of life. So stop being a chicken now. From now onwards, you're no longer a chicken, you are an eagle. You're going to use any turbulence to propel you to your greatest potential that God has given you. Are we agreed? Yes. Are we together? Yes. I don't hear you, man. Yes. So we can flourish in an uncertainty. And that's the message I have for you. And then if you're in business, think about how you can really, very important to keep external presence and keep leading when you're a leader and keep showing your followers that you are there. Don't be passive and run away. And then if you're a company like a business, how can you commercialize that? Now, normally when you are in crisis, like most of the time in a business is when you've got a financial crisis and you've got to focus. Every CFO of a company will be saying to you, cut costs, cut costs, cut costs, cut costs. And all of you focus on that and forget about revenue opportunities that are available. Trust me, I've been there before. When I was running Excel Petroleum, we had a major crisis when one of the major customers went bankrupt and took us out for more than 40 million rand. And for a small company like ours at that time, we were tinkering on the brink of bankruptcy. And I could have taken an opportunity and said, cut costs and let's not do anything there. But I said, cut costs and be prudent, but let's look how we can grow the business, how other opportunities, how we're going to replace this customer with other customers in order to be able to grow, because no one saved themselves to growth. Are we together? Yes. So that's the external perspective. Let's continue. Now going to the internal perspective. Maintain momentum. When you're faced with crisis, the natural thing is inertia comes and paralysis comes, and you just don't want to move. When you're in crisis, just move. Maintain momentum. Make sure your organization is not paralyzed. And that's you as a leader needs to do that. And we tend to postpone everything, but maintain momentum. Because I tell you, this storm shall pass. And then focus on performance. And let people, particularly your leaders, must focus on performance. Now, whenever there is a storm, there's people who are peddlers of toxic environment in any organization. Avoid them, confront them, because they're going to start sending rumors. We're all going to be retrenched. We're all going to be losing our jobs. This management team, these leaders are, and all sorts of rumors go around. And there are people who are toxic. Deal with them quickly. I'm not going to suggest how you do that. On a one-on-one, when you tell me your exact story, and then you tell me you've got a toxic peddler of environment here, how do I deal with it? I'll tell you how we deal with it. Okay? Right now, I'm just giving you the principle. Because those people distract performance. And that is where you need to be performing at your... And then make decisions in ambiguity. You see, sometimes we always want to wait as leaders to get all the information, analyze it until we're paralyzed by it and are not able to move. In a turbulent environment, when there's crisis, make decisions. If it's wrong, you'll change it. Are you with me? Yes. It's better to make a decision. Don't pass the buck to other people. And that's a mark of leadership, to take decisions with ambiguous information. That is why you need internal moral compass that will say, you're not going in the right direction. You must feel it in your belly sometimes. Take decisions, and we've got organizations that are in deep trouble because leaders did not take decisions fast enough, quick enough during the time of ambiguity. Let's move to internal perspective. What is critical when you're a leader, and I don't know what organization you're running, but I know when we're in crisis, just like now, we're in challenging times. You must have read about us in our organization. The most important thing that I do with my team is to motivate them. Because you need to motivate people, because that time people are fearful. They're fearing for their lives. They're fearing for their jobs. They're fearing that what is going to happen in South Africa. Should I immigrate or not? They're fearful for their children, fearful for their retirement. You need to motivate them. But you need to demonstrate emotional and personal benefit of being part of the organization. You know why? Because during the crisis, people want to jump out, jump ship. And normally they jump from a frying pan and they jump into a real fire of coal. I've been in an environment actually when we were in transition of Excel as we were busy selling it to Sasson. And I had a lot of information as a leader, but some of it was privileged, so you couldn't release it. And one of my employers was so nervous and was a very faithful, good guy that we built the organization. And I knew that the future is better than what we had, but he wanted to hang on to what we have, the status quo. And he came to me in complete distress, crying. I mean, this is a man, big man, crying. And he says, I want out. I want to resign. And he gave me his resignation. And I'm restricted by privileged information, which you can't disclose, particularly when you're dealing with a listed company. You can't disclose information. So I said to him, listen, man, there is future. So I had to show him the future, but he still didn't hear me. And he gave me the resignation application. But as a leader that I knew that there's more beneficial opportunities for him, I said to him, listen, I'm taking your resignation, but I'm not accepting it. I tear it. I said, come to me again in a month's time. See whether you want to resign. Because at that moment in time, the announcement was coming, and we were going to get a huge amount of benefit because we unlocked value for shareholders, and all the shareholders were also employees. But if I didn't show him the benefit in that crisis in his mind, he would have jumped out and lost a lot of benefit. So just be there. And then you must lead, if you're a leader, lead upwards and across. Now when when crises happen, your line managers, if you've got line, they also get paralyzed. They are not able to communicate to people on the ground. You as a leader, you need to communicate across the lines. You see, right now, because we've got crises with all the challenges that we're facing in the US and the crude price, we just call the whole team. We call even the lowest people. And we address them because they want to see leaders. And when they see you exuding, showing a calmness, they are also get calm. So, very important, because if you rely on information that's going to go through the line, it's just going to be distorted in translation. Now, let's finish the internal. Let's go finally now to you personally. I said there's three perspectives: external, and then internal of the organization, and you personally. In times of turbulence, don't allow turbulence to buffet you. Don't you dare allow it. You're a leader, you're here, you're being prepared for turbulence. Whether it's in your family, it may be distraught, it may be painful, it is very important. Somebody in the family needs to stand up and lead, particularly if you've got a clan like ours. I mean, you know, we African people have got extended uncles and all. Yeah. So if there's a turbulence that has happened or somebody has passed on, you need to rise up and actually give direction, because otherwise you've got auntie from Kwa, and auntie from Zululand and Limpopo. They all come and give instructions, and some of them get you to do things which they're going to cost you a lot of money. And you need to stand there and give leadership. Are you with me? And maintain focus and discipline. And exercise emotional maturity to calm followers. You know, people when in crisis, they become like sheep. They need to be followed. You need to say, we're going this way. And people follow. When you actually show and have realistic confidence, they follow you. And you're being trained to be leaders here. And that's a time that you need to show it. So the next thing is, give yourself permission to be flexible. In an uncertain environment, things change very quickly. You may make the decision and you thought with the information you had today was correct and right, and then 3 days later it is a wrong decision. Maintain flexibility to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, let's move on, this is the next decision I'm making. And that is very important. And when new information comes, you make a decision again. And this is very important. I'm talking about flexibility, not indecision or inconsistency. Because it's important to make decisions, but not be indecisive, because that's even worse. And then finally, I want you, don't stop developing yourself during transition. You see, we're talking fourth industrial revolution. We, the baby boomers, don't even understand what is going on now. But I've started to understand now what is. We've got these teams of smart young people like you. We call them Sprint, and they do all sorts of things. And I've just learned that one of the skills that is so critical is coding. And you better make sure your son and the daughter who's growing up right now understand that there is a job called coding. And I'm starting to understand and unpack for myself what it does mean. What does digitalization mean for our own organization? For serving customers, for production, for manufacturing, to running Secunda, to running Sasolburg. And then it's the whole cyber world. Where are we vulnerable? Where can we be attacked? Where can we be destroyed? And I'm very fast becoming an expert on fourth industrial revolution. And yet I'm a baby boomer. It's critical that you learn new skills and develop them and encourage your team to do so. Right now, the biggest ethical dilemma we're facing is about what it will do to our people in terms of employment and unemployment. We've got a major crisis in this country of unemployment. Now, if we go down this route, I mean, we've done a robotic in our company which looks at the accounting, repetitive accounting work, like accounts receivable and paying of creditors. That work is done like a team of these people, like all of you. And a robot, and it takes them 3 months to do that. And a robot can do that thing in about 3 days. It means all 100 people must go. Now we're going to get into an upskilling and reskilling and unlearning and learning. Critical. So personally, you need to focus and you need to allow yourself flexibility and don't stop learning. And in conclusion, which has been on the screen, very, very important. If you're a leader, do not allow your anxiety to become contagious. You see, if you walk in, I listened to one of the great leaders, Brand Pretorius, he said, when you're a leader, you see there's a switch on, if there's a switch on to switch on the lights. If you enter the door, if you're a leader, you switch on the lights and there's light. and you switch it on with the way you show up when you get into that office or get into that leadership place. Or you can get into that room and switch off the light by the way you show up. If you show up with confidence, with enthusiasm, even in the midst of crisis, you lift everybody with you. If you show up moody, gloomy, desperate, anxious, you spread that moody, gloomy, doomsday environment throughout the whole organization. So choose today how you're going to show up in turbulent times. Thank you very much.